In ORC Labs, we utilize lab templates to define lab environments. A lab template defines things like machine size and operating system. It is also where you will install and configure any software necessary for your environment. So before creating a lab template, you'll want to have an understanding of what needs to be installed and what the machine requirements are for the install. Here under Lab Templates, you can see there are several templates already out there. You may notice that some of the lab templates are published. Any lab template that has been published can be used in a training class within ORC Labs. One way to create a lab template is to copy one that is already out there. So if I find one here in the list that is close to what I need, I can use the copy button to make a copy and then edit as necessary. If what I need isn't already out there, I can create a new one. Now, depending on how complex your lab environment is, there are actually 2 additional ways to create a lab template. If your environment only requires a single server, you can use the wizards to step you through creating the template. If it requires anything beyond a single server, you can leverage the Lab Designer. And in this video, we'll cover creating a lab template with a single server. You can look for a separate video that covers the Lab Designer. This steps us through everything we need, starting with the name and description. You can control who has access to your lab template. The default is copy, which means other users will be able to see your template and make a copy of this template for their use, but will not be able to change it. Private, only you and administrators will have any access to the template, and public, anyone has complete access to the template. You can attach up to 5 labels to your template. Attaching labels can help keep track of what this template is used for. It can help manage the templates that are out there. Now to create this template, we can copy an existing template. We talked about copy earlier. This is another place you can use copy, or you can start with a base image and select the starting point that is right for your install. For this one, I'll just go ahead and start with a Windows machine. Next, you'll select the appropriate machine size. Now, depending on what you want to install, you'll review each of the machine specs and cost, and you can select the most appropriate machine for your needs. The cost displayed here is just an estimate, but it's shown to help you pick the most appropriate resource. Now, the options that we see here, as well as the available base images that we saw on the previous screen, those are all controlled by policies that are set on your account, and they are configurable by an administrator. So if you don't see something meeting your requirements, you can contact your ORC Labs administrator and request what you need in order to create your environment. You'll have a chance to review everything. If you want to change anything, the icons here will take you to a previous step, and you'll be able to make any changes that are necessary. Once it's submitted, the lab template's created and can now be seen here in the list. If we open this template, we of course can see the details, and from here you can also make some additional tweaks to the server in this template. ORC Labs has a built-in activity monitor which will pause your labs if no activity is detected. This can help prevent users from forgetting about servers left running, and as a result will help keep costs down. The default is 60 minutes, but that can be changed here. When viewing the template, the section here titled Items will list any resources that are part of this template. This one, of course, has only the one server, but then to the right of each of the servers, you'll have this configuration icon under Actions. This opens up the advanced server settings where you'll have additional settings for this server. I'm going to point out ones that are probably the most common, but you'll want to take some time exploring everything that is here. The server name defaults just to server, but you can certainly give it a more descriptive name. Here under configuration, I also can change the hard disk size. Servers have a default hard disk size of 50 gigabytes, but if you want more space for the software you'll be installing, you can certainly specify a larger size. The connection tab has options that determine how we will connect to the server. And if there's data that you want to expose to the user, that can be provided here under the data tab. Maybe you're going to install a certain application in this environment and you want to inform the users of the application username and password. Those values could be defined here. Once we have the configuration options set, we're now ready to install any software that needs to be installed. We'll go ahead and start the machine. This can take a minute or two for your template to start. Once the lab template starts, you can see any custom data that we provided on that data tab earlier. It's likely that you're going to need to install some specific software into the template. If you have the install image handy, you can upload that to the template here. And then to access the machine to do that install, I can simply expand it using the double arrows here. And now I have access to the machine through the browser. Full screen option over here in the upper right. Any files that we sent to the template can be found in the Uploads folder here on the desktop. Once you have installed and configured everything like you want, you can go ahead and stop the template and make sure to save your changes. One additional thing to keep in mind is if this template is going to be used in a training class, you'll want to go ahead and publish that template. That makes it available then to be used in a training class. Now that's the quickest and easiest way to create a lab template. That's going to be okay for a simple environment that requires one server. However, if you do need a more complicated environment, be sure to look for a separate video that details out using the Lab Designer.